Have you ever wondered what the world was supposed to look like by now? Flying cars zipping through the sky, robots doing all our chores, and maybe even colonies on Mars? Well, buckle up, because today we're diving into 7 jaw-dropping predictions about the future that completely miss the mark. Some of these are so wildly off base, you'll wonder what these so-called experts were thinking. And trust me, number 4 will absolutely blow your mind. Throughout history, humans have always been fascinated by what tomorrow might bring. We've had brilliant minds, respected scientists, and influential leaders paint vivid pictures of our future world. But here's the thing about predictions: they're incredibly hard to get right. Technology evolves in unexpected ways, society shifts in directions nobody sees coming, and sometimes what seems inevitable just never happens at all. What makes these failed predictions so fascinating isn't just that they were wrong. It's how confidently they were made, how widely they were believed, and how they reveal the hopes, fears, and blind spots of their time. These weren't just random guesses either. Many came from highly respected sources, published in major newspapers, and taken seriously by millions of people. So, let's jump into our time machine and explore these fascinating glimpses of futures that never came to pass. Each one tells us something important about human nature, technological progress, and why predicting the future is one of the hardest things we can attempt to do. Our first failed prediction takes us back to the early 1900s when the world was experiencing rapid technological advancement. Steam engines were revolutionizing transportation, electricity was transforming cities, and people were dreaming big about what might come next. In 1900, a prominent engineer confidently declared that by the year 2000, every major city would be powered entirely by windmills. This prediction wasn't just wishful thinking. Wind power seemed like the logical next step after water mills and steam engines. The technology existed, it was clean, and wind was free and abundant. Newspaper articles of the time described massive windmill farms dotting the landscape around every major metropolitan area, their giant blades turning gracefully to power entire urban centers. The prediction gained even more credibility when several test installations showed promising results. Small communities successfully used windmills for basic electrical needs, and engineers calculated that scaling up would be straightforward. Investment money poured in, and by 1910, some cities had begun preliminary planning for their windmill-powered futures. But reality had other plans. The discovery of vast oil reserves made fossil fuel power plants far more economical than anyone had anticipated. Coal mining expanded dramatically, and the infrastructure for traditional power generation became so entrenched that wind power couldn't compete. While wind energy did eventually become important in the 21st century, it never dominated urban power systems the way these early visionaries imagined. The lesson here isn't that wind power was a bad idea, it was actually ahead of its time. But the prediction failed because it underestimated how economic forces and existing infrastructure would shape technological adoption. Sometimes the best technology doesn't win if the economic incentives aren't aligned properly. Moving into the 1920s, our second prediction emerged from the fascinating world of early aviation. As airplanes became more reliable and airports started appearing in major cities, aviation experts began making bold claims about personal transportation. In 1924, a respected aeronautical engineer published an article stating that by 1950, every middle-class family would own a personal airplane for daily commuting. The logic seemed sound at the time. Cars had gone from luxury items to common household possessions in just 20 years. Airplane technology was advancing rapidly, and manufacturing costs were dropping steadily. The engineer calculated that mass production would make personal aircraft as affordable as automobiles, and flying would become as routine as driving. Major newspapers picked up the story, and the public imagination ran wild. Artists created elaborate illustrations showing suburban driveways with small aircraft parked next to family cars. Aviation companies began developing prototypes specifically designed for household use, complete with simplified controls and enhanced safety features. Several wealthy families actually purchased early personal aircraft, and flying clubs sprouted up in affluent neighborhoods. The prediction seemed to be coming true, at least for the upper classes. Aviation schools started preparing for an influx of regular citizens wanting to learn to fly, and some cities even began planning residential airports. However, several factors combined to derail this aerial future. The complexity of air traffic control became apparent as more aircraft took to the skies, making mass civilian aviation logistically nightmarish. Weather remained a persistent challenge that ground transportation didn't face. Most importantly, the infrastructure costs for widespread personal aviation proved astronomical, far beyond what most communities could justify. The prediction also underestimated how much training and skill would be required for safe operation. While cars could be operated with relatively simple training, aircraft demanded much more expertise, making them impractical for the average person. Today, personal aircraft remain luxury items for the wealthy rather than everyday transportation for middle-class families. Our third prediction comes from the 1930s, when household technology was beginning to transform daily life. Refrigerators, washing machines, and other appliances were making domestic work easier, leading futurists to extrapolate these trends dramatically. In 1935, a prominent home economist confidently predicted that by 1970, every household would have a robot servant performing all cooking, cleaning, and maintenance tasks. This wasn't science fiction speculation, it was presented as serious technological forecasting. The prediction appeared in major magazines and was endorsed by several respected scientists. The reasoning seemed logical. If machines could already wash clothes and preserve food, surely they could be programmed to handle more complex household tasks within a few decades. Companies began investing heavily in automation research specifically for domestic applications. Prototype devices appeared at trade shows, demonstrating basic cleaning and food preparation capabilities. The public was fascinated, and consumer surveys showed enormous interest in purchasing household robots as soon as they became available. The prediction gained momentum during World War II, when labor shortages made automation seem increasingly necessary. Women entering the workforce en masse created demand for devices that could handle domestic duties, and military advances in mechanical engineering suggested that sophisticated robots were just around the corner. Department stores began advertising robot-ready homes with special electrical systems designed to support future automated servants. Home builders incorporated design features like central control panels and specialized storage areas for robotic equipment. The prediction seemed so inevitable that entire industries began preparing for the robot revolution. But the technological challenges proved far more complex than anyone anticipated. Creating robots capable of navigating homes, recognizing different objects, and performing delicate tasks required advances in computing, sensors, and artificial intelligence that wouldn't emerge for decades. The prediction failed because it underestimated the incredible complexity of seemingly simple human tasks. While we do have robotic vacuum cleaners and some automated appliances today, the comprehensive household robot servants envisioned in 1935 still don't exist in most homes nearly a century later. Now here's the prediction that will absolutely shock you. In 1945, just as World War II was ending, a renowned physicist made an astounding claim that captured headlines worldwide. He predicted that by 1975, nuclear-powered automobiles would completely replace gasoline engines, making fuel costs essentially free for every driver. This wasn't just hopeful thinking. Nuclear technology was the marvel of the age, and scientists were discovering applications that seemed to make anything possible. The physicist calculated that small nuclear reactors could power vehicles for years without refueling, eliminating the need for gas stations and making transportation incredibly cheap. Major automobile manufacturers took the prediction seriously enough to invest millions in research. Ford, General Motors, and other companies established dedicated nuclear vehicle divisions, hiring atomic scientists and building specialized facilities. Concept cars appeared at auto shows, featuring sleek designs that concealed compact nuclear reactors where engines normally sat. The Atomic Energy Commission endorsed the concept and began developing safety protocols for civilian nuclear vehicles. Government agencies studied the infrastructure changes that would be needed, including specialized service centers and waste disposal systems. The prediction seemed so credible that some states began planning road systems specifically designed for nuclear-powered traffic. Public excitement reached fever pitch when several working prototypes successfully completed test drives. Newspapers published detailed articles explaining how nuclear cars would revolutionize transportation, eliminate pollution, and free families from ever buying gasoline again. Car dealerships began taking deposits for future nuclear vehicles. However, the prediction crashed into harsh reality when safety concerns became impossible to ignore. The risks of accidents involving radioactive materials, the challenges of nuclear waste disposal, and public fear following various atomic incidents made nuclear cars politically and practically impossible. Insurance companies refused to cover nuclear vehicles, and liability issues proved insurmountable. The prediction failed not because the technology was impossible, but because society decided the risks far outweighed the benefits. Sometimes social acceptance matters more than technical feasibility. Our fifth prediction takes us to the 1950s, the golden age of television and mass media. As TV sets became standard household items and broadcasting technology advanced rapidly, media experts began making dramatic forecasts about the future of entertainment. In 1955, a leading television executive boldly predicted that by 1980, every home would have wall-sized television screens displaying three-dimensional programming. The prediction wasn't purely speculative. Early experiments with large screen projection had shown promising results, and 3D movie technology was already entertaining audiences in theaters. The executive reasoned that combining these technologies for home use was simply a matter of time and mass production. Electronics companies immediately began developing prototypes, and several manufacturers announced plans for home 3D television systems. Trade publications featured detailed articles about the technical specifications of future entertainment walls, and interior designers started incorporating large screen spaces into new home layouts. The prediction gained credibility when early projection systems actually worked reasonably well in controlled environments. Wealthy early adopters installed primitive versions of wall-sized screens, and the results generated enormous publicity. Department stores created demonstration areas where customers could experience the future of home entertainment. Television studios began experimenting with 3D broadcast formats, and some programs were actually produced specifically for the anticipated home 3D market. The prediction seemed so inevitable that furniture manufacturers started designing living rooms around the assumption that one entire wall would be a television screen. But several technical hurdles proved much more challenging than expected. The cost of large screen technology remained prohibitively expensive for ordinary consumers, and 3D television caused eye strain and headaches for many viewers. The infrastructure needed for 3D broadcasting was enormously expensive, and content production costs were significantly higher than traditional television. Most importantly, consumer research revealed that people didn't actually want to transform their living rooms into theater environments. The prediction failed because it assumed technological capability would automatically translate into consumer demand. Our sixth prediction comes from the space-obsessed 1960s, when the moon landing made anything seem possible. In 1969, just months after Apollo 11, NASA's chief administrator confidently announced that permanent lunar colonies housing thousands of people would be established by 1990, with regular commercial flights transporting civilians to the moon for vacation. The prediction wasn't just wishful thinking from a space enthusiast. NASA was at the height of its influence and capability, having just accomplished the seemingly impossible feat of landing humans on the moon. The administrator laid out detailed plans including lunar mining operations, residential complexes, and recreational facilities designed for the moon's low-gravity environment. Major aerospace companies began serious development work on lunar colony systems. Boeing, Lockheed, and other firms received substantial contracts to design everything from lunar habitats to moon-based transportation systems. Universities established specialized programs for training lunar colonists, and recruitment efforts began identifying candidates for permanent moon residence. The prediction captured public imagination like few others. Travel agencies began taking reservations for future lunar vacations, complete with detailed itineraries for moon-based activities. Science fiction moved closer to science fact as detailed plans emerged for lunar hotels, golf courses, and even honeymoon resorts. Government agencies started planning the regulatory framework for lunar settlements, including legal systems, taxation policies, and international agreements. The prediction seemed so credible that some countries began competing to establish their own moon bases, fearing they might be left behind in the space colonization race. However, the enormous costs of space transportation proved far more challenging than anticipated. Each Apollo mission consumed massive resources, and scaling up to support permanent colonies would require unprecedented sustained investment. Public interest in space exploration waned as other priorities emerged, and political support for expensive lunar programs evaporated. The prediction failed because it underestimated how difficult and expensive it would be to maintain permanent human presence beyond Earth. While we've made remarkable progress in space technology, lunar colonies remain firmly in the future rather than historical fact. Our final prediction comes from the technology boom of the 1980s, when personal computers were transforming workplaces and homes. In 1987, a prominent computer scientist made a startling prediction that seemed almost conservative at the time. He declared that by 2005, paper money and physical currency would be completely obsolete, replaced entirely by digital transactions through personal computer networks. The prediction built on emerging trends that seemed unstoppable. Credit cards were becoming increasingly common, automated banking was expanding rapidly, and computer networks were connecting businesses and institutions worldwide. The scientist argued that the inefficiencies of physical money would make digital currency inevitable within just 2 decades. Major banks immediately began investing heavily in electronic payment systems, viewing the prediction as a roadmap for future profitability. Computer companies started developing specialized hardware for digital transactions, and software firms created programs designed to handle completely cashless economies. The prediction gained enormous credibility when several test communities successfully operated without physical money for extended periods. Shopping centers installed electronic payment systems, and some retailers began refusing cash payments entirely. Financial experts calculated the enormous cost savings that would result from eliminating physical currency production, transportation, and security. Government agencies began planning the transition to cashless society, including programs to help elderly citizens adapt to digital payment systems. The Federal Reserve studied the implications of eliminating paper money, and several countries announced pilot programs to test completely digital economies. The prediction seemed even more credible as the internet expanded and online commerce began growing explosively. By the late 1990s, digital payments were becoming routine for many transactions, and the elimination of physical money seemed like just a matter of time. However, the prediction underestimated how deeply attached people would remain to physical currency. Many consumers preferred the privacy and security of cash transactions, and significant portions of the population lacked access to the technology needed for digital payments. Cultural resistance proved stronger than technological capability. While digital payments have indeed become dominant in many contexts, physical money persists and remains important for millions of people worldwide. The prediction failed not because the technology was inadequate, but because it didn't account for human preferences and social complexities. These 7 predictions teach us something profound about human nature and the challenge of forecasting the future. Each seemed logical at the time, was supported by respected experts, and built on genuine technological trends. Yet they all failed because they couldn't account for the complex interplay of technology, economics, society, and human psychology. The lesson isn't that we should stop trying to predict the future, but that we should approach such predictions with healthy skepticism and remember that the future is shaped by far more than just technological capability. Sometimes the most confident predictions are the ones most likely to be wrong. What predictions about today's world do you think might seem just as ridiculous 50 years from now? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more fascinating looks at how wrong we can be about the future.